Welcome back to Watercooler Wednesdays, brought to you by MyEAP. This week, we'll be talking about anxiety, specifically about understanding it through a child's eyes. Whether we're a parent, a guardian, or we happen to know a child or adolescent that's approaching exam season, this week we're going to explore a little bit about how they may be feeling and how we can help them navigate this time. The very first thing that we can do is understand anxiety. And anxiety is the body's survival response. It's normal to have a bit of anxiety every day. However, when that becomes maladaptive and we can't fully function with it, then it becomes a problem. Between the ages of around 7 to as old as 18 years old, we tend to get anxious about rejection from peers, transitioning to a new environment like a new school. All of these feelings can get overwhelming when we're within those ages. Now, I know it's been a while for some of us, but as a child, our thinking pattern can be inductive. We make big global assumptions from specifics. For example, we did bad in one test, so that means we're going to fail our entire exam. We may not have been invited to a class party, so that means no one in our class likes us. These are just some examples of the way in which a child's mind might work. When you also factor in the external pressures which they may be feeling, whether it is from their teachers to perform well, their parents to pass for a good school or to do really well in the exam, or even pressures they may place on themselves. That, paired with their thoughts that they may fail this exam, creates an overwhelming amount of anxiety in their bodies at this time. Additionally, when you factor in the extraordinary circumstances which we're currently under, not knowing whether their exams are going to be cancelled, having to do their exam in a completely new format, these are also additional factors which must be considered when you are attempting to understand what their anxiety might look like. Now we're going to explore some behavioral and emotional signs and symptoms to look out for. You might find that they're asking what if a lot. Some examples can be what if I fail? What if I don't do well? At this stage, they're looking for your reassurance that everything is going to be okay if this happens. If possible, walk them through this worst case scenario and you'll allow them to see that it is not as bad as their mind is making it seem. They might also be afraid of making mistakes, so much so that if they had the right answer the first time, they'll erase it because they're self-doubting. They might also engage in compulsive behaviors such as rocking back and forth, tapping their foot a lot. All of these things are self-soothing behaviors. Some of the ways in which we can help are to allow them to see the reality in their thought patterns, but allow them to focus on the positives, on all the other practice tests that they've been doing really, really well at. Another key thing that we can do is encourage them to name their anxiety or identify what is making them anxious, and then why it's making them anxious, and finally, how can they manage their anxiety. Keep in mind that we may have heard this from some adult in our life when we were a child or an adolescent. You can't trick me because I've been through it all. And that's the thing. They might have been right. Because as a child or a teenager, we may not have had the wealth of experience that we have right now. Therefore, our view of the world was very limited because we weren't really all that experienced. So we also have to understand that at that age right now, these exams might seem like the most important thing in the world to them, which is why they may be placing a lot of both internal and external pressures on themselves. As the adults in their lives, we have to try to guide them through it and help relieve some of that pressure onto them. Whether we emphasize their test skills, focusing on how well they are at particular subject areas, or even Googling and researching ways in which they can enhance those skills. We also want to let you know that you are supported. MyEAP is here for you. We've moved our services remotely, and you can email us at eap@familiesinaction.net or reach out to us at 628-2333.